The Battle of Midway, June 3rd to June 6th, 1942, was one of the decisive naval battles of history. The engagement was decided entirely by air power, with no surface gun action. At Midway, the Japanese repeated the pattern of the Coral Sea 1 month before. They approached in widely separated groups, seeking to draw out the American forces, and included a secondary operation, the Aleutians.
The Doolittle raid on Tokyo of April 18, 1942, strongly influenced Japanese plans. The Japanese High Command accelerated their advance into the Solomons and New Guinea. Further advances were planned to include New Caledonia, the Fiji Islands, and Samoa. These to be followed by the capture of the strategic island of Midway and the occupation of the Aleutians. Many of these objectives had been set forth in previous plans. But the Battle of the Coral Sea had checked the Japanese advance southward by sea. The advance to the eastward was then ordered by Imperial headquarters. Thus, the lines of American communication would be cut, the areas west of Pearl Harbor would be denied, the balance of naval power in the Pacific would be upset.
The Japanese Commander-in-Chief Combined Fleet felt that as a result of Pearl Harbor, the American fleet was temporarily inferior. But the American industrial potential made a fleet action imperative on the part of Japan. The approaches to Japan must be strengthened. By departing from their established naval policy of holding their fleet in Japanese-controlled waters and threatening something the Americans prized, the Americans might then feel compelled to commit their weaker forces and thus be brought to a vulnerable position. Thus, he hoped to bring off a decisive battle near Midway. Preceding the Midway attack by 1 day, there was to be reconnaissance in force against Dutch Harbor, which was to be struck a paralyzing blow to cover the seizure of Edak, Kiska, and Attu. This move would act as a diversion to Midway. Kiska and Midway could be used as bases for barrier patrols to detect any surprise penetration toward the heart of the empire.
The Japanese commander believed that there would not be any powerful American units with carriers near Midway. He believed that the Americans patrolled daily west and south of Midway at a radius of 500 miles, but were not as vigilant in the northern area. He estimated the defenses of Midway to be strong and that submarines operated in the area. That Midway had 2 squadrons of flying reconnaissance boats, 1 squadron of Army bombers, 1 squadron of fighters, and that this air strength could be doubled in an emergency. This was an excellent estimate.
Here is the Japanese commander's estimate of the American surface units in the Hawaiian area. He estimated 2 to 3 carriers. Actually, there were 3. He also estimated 2 to 3 special carriers and 2 battleships, but there were none in the Hawaiian area. He estimated 4 to 5 heavy cruisers, when actually there were 7. 3 to 4 light cruisers, there was only 1, and 4 very light cruisers, of which none were present. His estimate of 30 destroyers was correct, but at the time of the battle, only 14 were in the Midway area. His estimate of 25 submarines was correct.
The Japanese commander of the Aleutian forces believed that at Dutch Harbor there were considerable military installations and patrol craft, but he felt it could be captured easily. He also believed that Kiska and Attu had military installations and patrol craft. He estimated that normally there were 20 patrol planes and 10 fighters at Dutch Harbor, that 2 squadrons of patrol planes